Welcome back. Look, I know you don't watch MSNBC, now known as MS Now, and for good reason. And whenever I play clips, a lot of you say, Will, if I wanted to watch that network, I would tune into that network. But I got to share with you some clips because, for one, it's public education. And because, number two, trust me, they give you some gems.
It could not be more tragically clear now that a whole civilization has already died. Nearly 250 years of the American presidency, all of that whole civilization forming the presidency died with the elevation of Donald Trump to the presidency a second time.
Wait, so this civilization is dead? But I'm here, you're here, some 300 million of us are here. And yet when President Trump speaks hyperbolically about the end of a civilization overseas in Iran, critics suggest he's going to kill 92 million. But by their own standards and by the literal definition of what a civilization is, of course, we know that was not what was meant by President Trump. They know that's not what was meant by President Trump. But they can't even get sane when the Secretary of War says our motto, our mantra in the military is leave no man behind.
That is, of course, the old school version of the idea back when only men flew American military planes. That could have been a woman they were trying to rescue, and it might be a woman the next time.
You see, leave no man behind, not gender inclusive, according to MS Now. Today, Vice President J.D. Vance encouraged us all, though, not to get cynical, not to trust and distrust every institution. He gave us a reality check on blackpilling.
There's way too much, I didn't like this thing that the vice president said, or I didn't like this thing that the president did, and I'm going to completely check out. We call that blackpilling in the United States of America, and blackpilling is how you give power to the forces that are trying to destroy what our ancestors built. We need to take power back from those people and build the kind of institutions that can actually save our societies.
Blackpilling is cynicism. It's sneering. It's losing hope. It's losing inspiration in the future of this country. And there's reason at times to hold those sentiments. And perhaps one of those is an anti-American far-left commentator who is named Hasan Piker. He appeared at a campaign event in Michigan yesterday with Democrat Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed. The candidate was pressed on Piker's previous anti-Semitic, controversial views.
Abdul, are there any views that Hasan holds that you disavow while you're with him right now?
I'm not here to disavow people's views. I'm here to have a conversation about how to get money out of politics, put money back in pockets, and pass Medicare for all. That's the conversation that folks are here to listen to. This whole gotcha game, platform policing, cancel culture, I thought we were over it.
He dodged that question because he knows the answer. It's not cancel culture to ask, why do you stand next to a man that calls for an open revolution, a communist revolution against the United States? Piker has said a world of outrageous and unacceptable statements.
America deserved 9/11, dude. F it. I'm saying it.
We deserved 9/11, says Hasan Piker. And then a candidate needs to answer for why he stands next to this man. Sayed is using Piker, he says, to gain more attention.
I'm not talking down to young people. I'm talking specifically to the challenge that they face. Part of the reason that it's so important for me to be engaged with somebody like Hasan is because he's talking to these folks every single day. And if we're serious about building a politics that unlocks for the folks who feel locked out, you've got to be serious about going to the places where they naturally are.
There's a ton of people with big audiences. Is Abdul El-Sayed going to appear on every platform? Will he go and meet Alex Jones? He says instead he has a message for all the critics who claim and call him a radical. I'm talking about Hasan Piker.
For the last 2.5 years, they smeared people like myself and people like yourselves and said that we were radical, said that we were wrong. And yet, we persevered and we understood the violence that was taking place. These smear campaigns that started shortly after October 7 were obviously a lot more consequential, a lot more successful back then. But now, I can easily say because I'm no longer alone. Neither are you.
There you go. That's his message to you, to America. Fox News contributor Mary Katharine Ham joins me now. You know, the thing is, Mary Katharine, I'm gonna tell you this and everybody watching home today. Today, I'm surrounded by high school students. I've got high school students with me today on the Will Cain Show. Almost to a man and to a woman, to be gender inclusive and appreciate Lawrence O'Donnell. They knew the name Hasan Piker. I don't assume everybody watching does know Hasan Piker, but they should know the name of the politicians and who they choose to stand next to. And I'm not going to listen to somebody go, oh, this is about cancel culture. No, we want to know. Do you agree? And do you stand with Hasan Piker?
Yeah, I've watched him for a long time because it's nice to know what the other side is doing. And he's very clear about what he believes. And El-Sayed is making very clear how far left he represents on the flank of this three-way primary for Michigan Senate for Democrats right now. And it's the question is, how far will he pull the rest of the party while he's doing that? But just to point out how bad this is, Hasan Piker has said many gross things, including, as you said, saying that we deserve 9/11, making excuses for sexual violence in October 7th, etc. But just less than a month ago, there was a Hezbollah-inspired attack by a guy who had two Hezbollah brothers in Lebanon on a Michigan synagogue with a preschool. Yes. Now, El-Sayed is campaigning in Michigan with a man who says Hezbollah's flag is his favorite because it's dope. That is what we're talking about. That's how blatant they are about it. And he's going to say he doesn't have to disavow any of it. Miles away, a Hezbollah-inspired jihadist tried to kill a bunch of people in a synagogue and thank goodness was unsuccessful doing that.
Where do they go from here? If this
Those
isn't
are
a
his
bridge too far.
constituents, or would be.
Yeah. But if this isn't a bridge too far, I'm curious now what the next bridge is that might just be too far. Where is the bridge too far for Democrats? Mary Katharine Ham, always good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Will Cain. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Cain podcast for full episodes right now.